Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the open portion of our Police Services Board meeting. We would like to acknowledge the treaty lands and territory of the Williams Treaty Nations and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We also recognize that Dufferin County is the traditional territory of the Wendat and the Haudenosaunee and is home to many Indigenous people today. We'll start with question period. I don't believe that there's anybody in the gallery. And Jerry, is there anyone joining us online? No, okay. So we will then move into, actually, I'm gonna move it ahead. I'm gonna do our report from in-camera session first because that feels out of whack to me. So I'll do our quick report from in-camera session if the board is okay with that, and then we will move into presentations. So our quick report from the in-camera session today, just ahead of this meeting, we did host an in-camera session where we discussed the following items: encampments on town property, some concerns about Orangeville Parks and Safety, Community Safety and Policing Grant, and overall the increasing OPP costs. We also adopted some in-camera and special meeting minutes as part of our closed session. So now we're in the open portion, and I will invite the Dufferin Emergency Search and Rescue, DSAR team, up to the delegation table there, if you don't mind, to go through your presentation. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for being here today, and your mic is already on.
Thank you for having us and allowing us the time to present. My name is Les Sharp. I am the team president for Dufferin Emergency Search and Rescue. Sitting on my left is actually my wife, Darlene Sharp. She is our training coordinator who will be also presenting a little part in this. Dufferin Emergency Search and Rescue works with the OPP for searches involving missing and vulnerable people and anything else that might fall under the OSARVA banner. We are a team under the provincial organization of OSARVA, which is Ontario Volunteer Search and Rescue Organization. Currently, our membership, we have 14, I believe it's 14. 14 operational members, which are members that have passed all the required training and testing, along with criminal record search and vulnerable person search, or check, sorry, that can be called upon when asked by the OPP within our given region or outside, depending on what's needed. We currently have 12, I think it's 12 non-operational, which are members that are going through the process to become certified. Okay, I think I'm about 3 slides. Sorry. Oh, there we go. So I was 2 off. 14 operational. We do some training with the OPP, with the Central ERT team, along with our ground search team. We do have a mounted search part of it, which does everything the same that the ground searchers have to do. We have to do on horseback also. Slide, please. So yes, we support the police in any searches for lost people. Again, we're governed by OSARVA. One of the other MOUs we do hold, so OSARVA holds the provincial one with the OPP. Provincial police, we as a team hold a separate one with Halton Regional Police, so they can call us for searches with them too. Next slide, please. One of the other things that we're big on is public education, and that's through the Adventure Smart program. And that's teaching kids from 5 to 18, so teenagers also, on different aspects of outdoor, how to be prepared for the outdoors. Our main focus is the Hug a Tree, which is geared more towards kids 5 to 10. And it teaches them that if you get lost out in the bush, go find a tree and make that your friend and stay there, so it's easier for everybody to find you. That program's available to anybody. They just have to make a request on the Adventure Smart website, and then it's all free. There will be minimum two presenters show up, and it's about an hour to hour and a half presentation. Next slide, please. We also hold an MOU with Dufferin County itself, that they can call us for anything to do with any disaster or special needs that they see fit. One of the things we've been out training with is to the different townships with they call them the emergency trailers that they have set up. We have members that have been trained with that also. So if there is road closures or along those lines, that we do have members that can help organize and set that system up for everybody. Slide, please. We are all nonprofit. We did receive a charitable status 2 years ago now, but all of our funds are raised from fundraising, and members pay for their own equipment and gear and stuff like that. We do get some equipment from OSARVA. Those are GPSs and some radios. So, next slide, please. And yeah, that's just a few pictures of things we've done. One of our biggest fundraisers is the Lions Home Show, helping with the parking there. The other one that's coming up is the Christmas craft sale at the Orangeville Fairgrounds. We help there and receive a donation back from them. So, next slide, please. Thank you. And I'll pass it to Darlene for the training part.
Okay, so our team trains monthly. We usually train 4 hours each month on the different topics: map, compass, search patterns, survival, search techniques, lost person behavior, clue awareness detection, communication tracking. We do train to the same standards that the OPP trained to for their search. We do a regular yearly recertification of all members. And then once members are on for a year and have attained a certain percentage of attendance, they go through a regular weekend of BSAR certification and training. We do require members to attend 60% of all trainings, be competent to be operational. We also require them to have their first aid. ICS training 100 is mandatory. We do have members that take 200 and 300. We do offer other specific trainings depending what's interest, if it's suggested. We're open to any other trainings that are offered as well. Next. We do train a lot with our partners. We have an example there of a Halton. We trained with the Army themselves and us. We did a larger training last September with OPP within the Central Region area. We did one this spring. I think it was Monocliffs. It just really proves working together when you're not in the stress of a search situation. We find it really beneficial. We've really developed a strong connection with Sergeant Nathan Hurley. He's really supportive of our team, really outgoing, and we like to sort of pay that back and go above and beyond and work with them. We have done a couple of searches this year that have been pretty beneficial in both areas. And as Les said, we do have a mounted team. It's not something that's readily used, but it's available if requested. Just some advantages of it: we can move a little faster or have the height and able to see the distance. We can move a little quicker, cover a little more terrain, stay out longer. We can carry a little more equipment on the back of the horse too. Sums it up.
That's a quick presentation.
That's quick.
So, you have any questions?
Thank you very much. Was there any questions from members? No, we're good.
Appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, we've got one of our members joining online. Yes, we appreciate your presentation. Thank you for coming. It's great to hear all the great work that you're doing in our community. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
again
you
for the opportunity.
Excellent. So we'll move into items for discussion and reports. The first item is council resolution confirming board appointments by council. I just wanted to provide an update to the board to let everybody know that all of that has officially been ratified by council. So that is complete. There's nothing else that we require from that one. I don't believe that we need a motion for that either. It's just an update, right, Mary Lou? No motion required. Sorry, item 11.1 was just my update that all of the board appointments have been ratified. We don't need a motion to receive that update, right? Okay, so we will move then into 11.2. We do have Jordan from the town of Orangeville joining us from the clerk's office to talk about archived Orangeville police records. Jordan, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor Post and the board for having me this evening. The report listed on the agenda explains sort of the differentiation of services between the board and the town of Orangeville with respect to the archival services agreement. So I'm here if any members of the board have any questions with respect to the report or would like clarification on sort of next steps in terms of the management of the board's records.
Perfect. It was a very comprehensive report. So first of all, thank you for that. Was there any questions from the board on that item at all? We're good. Look at that. A perfect report. We didn't even have any questions. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so the recommendation then is that the board receive the report. Can I get a motion, please? Warren and Grant, any opposed? Looks good. We'll move into 11.3, which is the inspector's third quarter report. Inspector, I will turn it over to you if there's anything you'd like to highlight briefly. Otherwise, I will just have questions from the board.
Thanks, Your Worship, and thank you, everybody. Good evening or good afternoon still. It's a pleasure to be here to present Dufferin Detachment's Quarter 3 2024 report for the town of Orangeville. So I will just skip through, unless, of course, there's any questions from the board about the call for service billing summary report. I'll just move along.
Yeah, just
Customer.
if you just want to keep going and just pick your highlights out of there, and then we can ask questions on any items as you go.
So during the third quarter, we didn't have any public complaints. We did see a reduction in patrol hours, and we are seeing that because increased calls for service as we come out of pre-pandemic levels. And with that said, when we look at our criminal code charges laid, so we did have a slight decrease in criminal code traffic charges laid, as well as a slight decrease in Highway Traffic Act offenses. However, we did see a fairly large increase of Liquor License Act charges laid during quarter number 3, 2024. When we looked at our speeding charges were down slightly from 2023 during this time period. However, our seatbelt charges, unfortunately, were up quite a bit, which is quite unfortunate, as we hope that drivers and passengers in vehicles, the first thing they do when they get in their cars, put their seatbelt on. But we did lay 22 seatbelt charges alone in the town of Orangeville over a 3-month period. But that also did coincide with a number of our provincial traffic campaigns, which actually targeted the Big Four. So with that said, we did see a slight increase in other charges, HTA and POA charges, and a 10% increase in our impaired driving. And we did not see any distracted driving charges during this quarter. So when I move down along to the e-ticket warnings, we did see a reduction in warnings during this time period, as well as year to date. Looking at our violent crime during the quarter, we did see an increase of sexual offenses during the same time compared to the same time period last year. We had 4 sexual offenses and 10 reported during this period. We did see a decrease in assaults and other firearms related offenses, and we saw a slight increase in other offenses involving violence or threats of violence. We had 17 occurrences last year, 19. Otherwise, a very slight increase in our violent offenses during the quarter of 7%. Property crime, we saw a reduction of 33% overall compared to the same time last period. Pretty significant decrease, well, 100% decrease of possession, traffic, and stolen goods. Pretty much decreases right across the board, including break-and-enters and thefts, as well as frauds and mischiefs. Looking at our drug crimes, we did have 4 possession charges laid during the quarter. We did see a slight decrease in trafficking charges, but overall a decrease of 10% in our drug crime compared to the same time last year. And moving along to our collisions, don't see any fatal or serious personal injury collisions there. Clearance rate, nothing out of the ordinary there. Increases in our drug clearance rates and other types of offenses. Slight decrease in violent crime and property crime. And moving along to our unfounded types of occurrences. So again, nothing out of the ordinary there compared to the same time period last year. And scrolling down to our other crime offenses, including provincial statutes. Our provincial statutes were actually up, as well as driving offenses. So our officers continue to be highly visible, engaged in proactive traffic enforcement when they're not conducting foot patrols or any sort of proactive patrols or engaged in calls for service. And we are seeing the positive increases in that, not just in the town, but across the county. So. And youth charges by disposition, we did have 4 POA tickets issued to youths in the town of Orangeville. No one held for bail or convicted or otherwise. And mental health act occurrences, we had 146. So actually a decrease compared to the number of mental health act occurrences that we saw same time period last year, very slight. And but still, however, overall year to date, so we had 2023 year to date, we had 508 mental health occurrences. So far, 727. So we clearly have exceeded the mental health occurrences that we've had so far. The majority of those occurrences are just straightforward mental health act calls, followed by assisting ambulance and attempts or threats of suicide. Opioids, looking at no fatal opioid occurrences. However, we did have 4 non-fatal occurrences, 1 related to non-opioid overdoses and 3 due to opioid overdoses. And referrals to victim services, our officers, in keeping with the victim-centered approach, ensure that the appropriate services are always brought forward to victims of crime and those who need them in our communities. So with that said, during the same time period last year, there was a 35% increase in the number of victims that accepted the services, victim services, Dufferin County and Caledon. Yeah, so actually pretty significant decrease in non-fatal injuries. There was a slight increase in property damage crashes, and a very slight increase overall, but no fatal crashes. So that's good news. And scrolling down to the types of occurrences that are resulting in collisions. Again, the majority are related to the Big Four, so completely preventable collisions. So again, we encourage our communities to be responsible in their driving habits, to ensure that they are properly wearing their seatbelts, they're not driving impaired, they're not driving inattentive, and they're not driving aggressively. In terms of foot patrol hours, 283 hours of foot patrol. So we were out there throughout the summer months. Ride hours, again, out there pretty consistent every day of the year. Our trouble with youth occurrences, we had 10 in July, 8 in August. So there was a slight dip and then a slight increase in September. I'm not sure what that's caused by, if it's excitement about going back to school, I'm not sure, but and of course, mental health act occurrences, as I alluded to, we did see an increase. Impaired by alcohol arrests, we have 14 year to date, no impaired by drugs. Distracted driving charges, we have 18 year to date. We participated in 3 provincial traffic safety campaigns during the quarter: Operation Safe Driver, Civic Day Long Weekend, and the Labor Day Long Weekend. And our detachment, compared to the other detachments within Central Region, would have placed anywhere between 2nd or 3rd overall in terms of standing. So like, our officers are doing quite the phenomenal job being focused on the Big Four causal factors that are causing our collisions in our communities across our province and throughout the nation, really. So. And from a community event perspective, just some overall, I'll highlight, we had Township of Amaranth Municipal Office, where we were doing bike inspections. We had the Town of Orangeville Touch a Truck hosted by, it says TD, and then it's cut off the rest of it, so I apologize. We also participated in A&W Canada with Town of Orangeville. And we had 2024 back to school campaign. So also busy at the Taste of Orangeville, our auxiliary unit, again, doing a phenomenal job being active in our community and supporting our officers with our community mobilization efforts. So, and I believe that's it. Oh, just one thing I want to touch upon. On September 28th, we had our invitation to the community for our open house at the Dufferin Detachment Primrose location. And it was quite a big event and quite successful. And I just want to thank everybody for participating during that event. And that's all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Inspector. Was there any questions on the inspector's report? Hearing none. A mover and a seconder to receive the report, please. Warren and Grant. Any opposed? We are good. Next, I will turn it over to the inspector again to give a brief update on noisy vehicles. Inspector?
Thank you, Your Worship. So there was a complaint from a local resident in the town of Orangeville about noisy vehicles within the community. And so the Dufferin Detachment worked with the town of Orangeville bylaw unit as well as the Ministry of Transportation. And we did organize a evening traffic initiative directed towards noisy vehicles. And we did certainly get the message out to the community with the increased police presence directed towards noisy vehicles. And it's something that our officers are looking at monitoring, particularly in those warmer summer days where the modified vehicles come out. And modified vehicles is something that's important to us as a traffic safety concern, as it does impact the safety of the community, other motorists, as well as the people that are operating those vehicles. So if in doubt, if you do purchase a vehicle or driving a vehicle and you have some doubts as towards its modifications, certainly feel free to give us a call and we'll be there to support you with any questions that you have. But again, it's something that we're going to continue to focus on in the years ahead.
Thank you, Inspector. Was there any questions from the board regarding noisy vehicles? Seeing none. A motion then that the update be received. Grant and Warren, thank you. Any opposed? That looks good. We'll move into the OPP progress report update in relation to the 2022 to 2025 action plan. A little bit of background on this is that there was a corporate decision made by the OPP to forego the 2023 progress report in light of the release of the CSPA on April 1st. Inspector, do you want to speak to that briefly?
No, just a very good overall touch point on that, Your Worship. So it is anticipated that moving forward, the commitments will be made and that progress reports will be released consistent with the CSPA. That's
perfect. Was there questions on that item from anybody? Nope, hearing none. We just need a motion to approve that update or receive that update. Grant and Warren, any opposed? Looks good. We'll move into the Provincial Offences Administration report. There was material submitted from Councillor Stevens, who is the town of Orangeville's representative on the POA report. And there were a couple of questions that were asked in the email. Significantly, just because there was a decrease in POA offenses received between January to June of 2023 to January to June of 2024. There was a decrease of 32%. So I will turn it over to the inspector to talk about that.
Thanks, Your Worship. So what I would say is that overall, when we look at the number of charges laid across the county from the start of January over to the end of August, we actually are seeing increases in our proactive traffic enforcement charges, particularly related to the Big Four. With respect to the decreases in Orangeville, the specific causal reasons why I would say are related to perhaps increased calls for service, our officers participating in types of occurrences that require 2 officers versus 1 officer. So if you have 2 officers tied up with a call, for the safety of the public and the community, as well as safety of the officers. Obviously, that means there's another officer or two that's not able to do calls for service. And as we have seen such an increase in mental health occurrences do tie up at minimum 2 officers. So my commitment will be that our officers will continue to do a great job in conducting proactive traffic enforcement in the community, and we will certainly continue to monitor that.
Excellent. Thank you, Inspector. Was there any questions on that item? No, hearing none. Just a motion to receive the October 4th report and the explanation provided by Inspector. If I could get a mover and a seconder, Warren and Grant. Any opposed? Looks good. We will move then into the false alarm report, which is attached here. Were there any questions on the false alarm report from any of the members of the board? Hearing none, there is a recommendation that the false alarm report be received. Warren and Grant, thank you. Any opposed? Looks good. We will move into the Community Awareness Initiative update. I will just provide a really quick update on this piece. The community awareness was an initiative trying to ensure that all of our non-for-profit and charity organizations were aware of the change in Police Services Board, who our members were, who our inspector is, who some of our staff sergeants are, just to make sure that they know who to contact and who to get in touch with. We had started with an initial letter that went out to all of our community agencies, and we would like to continue with a follow-up. We wanted to encourage them to also come to Police Services Boards if they do have questions or if there's anything that we can do to engage with them. So we are looking to continue that follow-up, and I know that Jacqueline has indicated that she would be willing to support me on this and potentially help with some of the follow-up. So after the holidays, Jacqueline and I will be working together on this community awareness initiative, and we'll have some updates that we can provide to the board following that. Was there any questions on that one? I see we lost Jacqueline briefly, so I will. Yeah, she's in. Jacqueline, are you back?
Hi, can you hear me? I'm back. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just lost reception and was trying to get back in.
No problem. We were just talking about the Community Awareness Initiative, and just that starting in January, you and I will be working together on moving the next piece forward of this.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate it, Lisa.
Excellent. Was there any questions on that item from anybody? Oh, sure. You just got to turn up your mic.
Just commentary that when it is kicked off, I'd like to be involved and see how I can help out.
Perfect. It sounds like it will be a Grant and Jacqueline initiative. I love that. Their recommendation then is that the board receive the update. And Jacqueline and Warren, thank you. Any opposed? Sounds good. Okay, so the OAPSB Zones 5 directory and update is item 11.9. Just notification that the October Zone 5 meeting was canceled. There was a next meeting that was just recently scheduled, and it is coming up on December 10th. An update will be provided on the status of future meetings. So the recommendation here is just that the board receive the update and that the OAPSB Zone 5 directory. Was there any questions on it before I get a mover and a seconder? No questions. So we will say Grant and Jacqueline. Any opposed? Looks good. Okay, so the OPP board remuneration survey, the board review and discussion, there was a survey attached, and the discussion that we wanted to have was whether this survey results should go to town council and to the town of Orangeville. And the reason for that is because coming up in 2026, there will be a compensation review for council and boards potentially, and we just wanted to know if we would like to potentially have town council consider this board as part of that remuneration review. So we could have that direction. Was there anything else to that one, Mary Lou? Did I cover that okay? So that was the discussion. If there's any thoughts or feelings on how we should move forward with that item. Grant, go ahead.
I mean, no issue sending it now. I mean, is it something that we should wait and send closer to, or is it, send it over now, will be parked until 2026?
We won't be doing the remuneration review from a town perspective for council. We always do it ahead of the next election because the changes would take place following the election. So it looks like it's probably going to be late 2025 or early 2026 that it'll come. So at this point, we could send it over to council and to the clerk's department for review. I think that would be appropriate at this point. So do you want to move that? Does that make sense? Okay, Grant will move that. So it will be the receipt of the remuneration survey and the discussion. And again, I don't know that we need to present it to council. I think just by correspondence is probably sufficient. So Mary Lou, can you capture that in a motion somehow? Perfect. Grant will move it and Warren will second it. Was there any other questions? Okay, any opposed? Looks good. So 1111 is the OAPSB member invoice for approval. That was attached. Was the motion suggested in the agenda is to approve the invoice and direct Mary Lou to have the invoice paid. Was there any questions on that item first? Seeing none. Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder then? Warren and Grant. Any opposed? We are good there. We wanted to have a quick discussion for 1112 about the mandatory thematic training. We just wanted to discuss overall progress for the board members. Mary Lou, did you have anything that you wanted to speak to on this item?
I don't believe so. I have received acknowledgement from all the members except you, Grant. I haven't received acknowledgement that you've completed the training and then submit a claim for compensation for the training.
Yeah, I did. You're supposed to get an email from it. So I did do it and I didn't get the email. I think I have to go back in and redo it again. I don't think I hit.
Okay.
Okay, so you've
So
completed all of it?
Yeah,
then?
I did do it, but I don't think I did it all. I think I closed the browser.
Okay.
So
If
I'll
you
go back
could-
in and get it this week and I'll get that. You're supposed to get an email that,
Yeah, just if you could send me a screenshot even.
yeah, I'll do it. I'll redo it this week and get it done.
That's
Perfect.
perfect. Thank you.
And then your compensation as well for that training needs to be sent as a special compensation piece. Okay, was there any other, so everybody else was good though, Mary Lou? We had everybody else locked in? We're good?
Also required Jackie's yet as well.
Okay. Jacqueline, do you have any commentary on that one? Is yours completed? Is it just a matter of getting the screenshot over to Mary Lou?
It's not completed. I had a little bit more time than the rest of the gang, so I took advantage of it. But I'm going to attend the meeting on the 10th, and then I have the 11th off. So I'm going to finish the training that day.
Perfect. Once you're done, if you can just make sure that you send a screenshot over to Mary Lou. I knew that you had some extra time because of
Yeah.
your time in getting into the board. And also just make sure that you submit your claim for special remuneration once it's completed as well.
Okay. That's
Perfect,
for
thank you.
completing the training?
Yes, because you're paid for a meeting basically for the cost of completing the training. So you do get $100
Oh,
for
I
that.
see. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So the recommendation then is that the board receive that update and report. Warren and Grant, any opposed? Looks good. We will move then into the Orangeville Group insurance application. So a little bit of background on this one. The Orangeville OPP Detachment Board has been accepted into the program. So that's what the update is. The confirmation email was received on October 8th, which is included in the package as well. Was there any questions on any of that item? Grant?
Not a question, but commentary. I think the invoice was in line with what we forecasted for budget, actually a little under, correct?
Yep,
Yeah,
correct.
So
Perfect. So the motion there is that the board receive the attached documents. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Grant and Warren, any opposed? Okay, 1114 is the claims for special remuneration. If all of them are attached in the agenda, the recommendation is that the board approve and direct Mary Lou to submit those claims to payroll for payment. Was there any questions on any of the items? Can I get a motion then that the board approve and direct Mary Lou? So that would be Grant and Warren. Any opposed? Looks good, carried. 1115 is the review post September 24th, 2024 and pre-November 19th meeting service standards per board policy. There's a bit of an update included on the service standards. Was there any questions on that item at all? Or Mary Lou, anything that you wanted to add? No? We're meeting our timelines and everything is good. So that's kind of the general gist of it, is that we're on track. The motion is that the board receive the discussion, which we didn't really have one unless anybody has questions. We are good. Okay, so we'll move her in a seconder. That'll be Grant and Warren. Any opposed? Okay, 1116 is talking about the Zina Courthouse and the next steps. There really isn't an update yet unless the inspector has an update, which you need your mic on.
That's right. Sorry, no matter how loud I think I'm told my voice is sometimes. No update. And actually, I was looking forward to speaking with Councillor Taylor to hear an update But I did send him an email, and we'll connect.
I haven't heard anything from the county at this point either, so I'm assuming that we'll have a conversation about it coming up. So Grant, go ahead.
Maybe a question for the inspector. Any concern going into the winter months? I know some of the space was not like warm or proper heating or whatever the case would be. Is it?
No, that won't be a concern for
No.
the winter months. No.
Wonderful.
Thank you for asking.
Okay, so the motion then is to receive that update. Was there any questions first? No? Okay, so can I get a mover and a seconder? Grant and Warren, any opposed? Okay, so the action register and work plan review, I believe, Grant, you are going to provide an update on that one. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So based on the review and just the formatting of the documents and the attachments are supposed to be on landscape, just so they did move over into 2-bit documents. The work done before was pretty solid. The only recommendations I had is a couple of extra boxes I added in, but also separating the action register to an open and a closed. Like right now it's all on one document, but actually moving it to only open items on one specific and separated archived onto the others. And then after 12 months, the archive would just fall off the action register. That was the big recommendation. What I found was, and I've seen it in other boards, when it's all in one document, it kind of gets lost. You got some items completed, some items not. So this way that the board will be able to actually look at, and recommendation would be to make it part of the agenda, is we look at the open action items, we see if it's being discussed, any updates. And if there is updates, it'll either be done through the meeting, and then items can be closed by the board and moved over to the closed action items. After a year, would just fall off. Great way to keep it on the archive as well and see what work has been done and when the board signed off it.
So with that, just a quick question. Would your suggestion be that this piece be on a reoccurring item on every PSB agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that, and it might be quick updates, barriers, perhaps if somebody's updating the website, for example, I use one here. Is there a barrier that we need somebody on council or somebody to step into? So it's a quick opportunity to open up and say any updates. Anybody want to discuss it? Do they need a delay in the time? Can they get it done differently, or will it be discussed and closed in the meeting that day? But to transition it to 2 different ones, as well as just change a couple of the items, any initial due dates, revised due dates, status, and then general comments.
Okay, good update. Was there any questions or comments on that? No, Mary Lou, does that make sense for you? You captured all those, you're good? Do you have a comment? Go ahead.
I just wondered, how will this correlate with the work plan?
So the work plan, again, I think is more of a, it looked like when I looked at the 2, sorry, just opening it up again. The work plan was a lot more, sorry, that's not the right one. The work plan was a lot more strategic of things that would be planned out, but not necessarily in play right away. So the action register would be very specific. So Grant is actioning this item. This is my ownership of this item. It would follow down, where the work plan may be a multi-year, multi-process of we eventually want to get to updating a certain documents or changing certain items, sorry, specifics off my mind. But it would be more of the long-term plan, where the action items is things that are in flight or recently closed.
Okay, so things would come off the work plan and actually go on the action register when they're being tasked.
Correct. And then when it's closed, it would move off to there again. So ideally, what you're looking at is things that would be scheduled, in flight, closed. It may appear like it's a lot more documents, but at any given time, you can say, what have we accomplished in the last 12 months? What are we working on right now? And what's coming up over the next 6 months to a year.
Okay. And then as far as ownership, will that sit with the EA, or will a member take ownership for the work plan and bringing the appropriate items over to the action register?
I think the work plan, again, as the board says, okay, this is going to be initiated, it's signed a member, MACOG, whatever it could be, then that would move over. The EA would track it as part of the minutes, as part separately, but a responsibility of the owner to actually provide the update. Call for me a week before meeting minutes, anything that we want to discuss, please provide updates, and we will go in advance and update it.
Okay. Does that make sense to you, Mary Lou? Does that work with?
Yep, I think that will work.
Okay.
And sorry, and I can work, you and I can work a little bit more together if you want to, the more granular parts of it to bring it forward.
That's great. Thank you, Grant.
Okay, wonderful. Any additional questions on that, No, looks good. So the motion then is that the board receive the review provided by Member Armstrong and align on next steps in first quarter 2025 work plan and registrar items and deadlines. So we do need to align on some of those during this meeting as well. Is there any thoughts, Grant? Or maybe Mary Lou, is there some that you wanted to pull out right away for action that we know needs to be done for first quarter?
I don't think at this point, perhaps a follow-up email once I've had a chance to review it again.
Perfect. Any thoughts from any board members on anything that needs to go on there, Grant?
Just looking at the work plan, it doesn't look like there's anything specifically coming up for 2025, except for, where would it go? The board local policy semi-annual DC confirmation, but I don't think there's any material items that need to go on.
Perfect. So we will follow up on that one with an email afterwards to see if there's anything. And perhaps what we can do is double check with Member McSweeney and Chair Taylor if there's anything specific that they know that they'd like to add. They may have already had some of that discussion that I'm not privy to. So we will go ahead with the motion in there that we will align through email following the meeting. Okay. Warren and Grant, any opposed? Okay, looks good. The website update. So again, there's some information in the agenda. Mary Lou met with Tabitha at the town for training and consolidating all existing policies into a larger PDF. That we're pushing this out until January 2025 to try and figure out how we can work with the town of Orangeville and potentially move forward with the website components. So at this point, there is no strategy locked into place on how we're moving forward, but it is still in discussion. Was there questions on this item? And is that fair to say, Mary Lou? Did I miss anything?
No, that's correct. One of the things is that Member McSweeney wants to review all the policies again prior to them being posted on the website. So there's no movement forward on posting them on the website currently until that final review takes place in the next month or two, and then brought back to the board for review and approval, and then be posted on the website in January.
Is that good? Grant, do you have a question?
I just going to loop it back to the brief. This would be a perfect example of something to put on the action items and work plan list.
Perfect. There we go. And we'll assign it
answered.
to Chair Taylor because he's not here. Perfect. Okay. Was there any other questions on the website at this point? So we will continue to provide an update at the January meeting of where we're at. Hopefully we'll be a little further ahead by then. So a mover and a seconder, please. Warren and Grant. Any opposed? Very good. We're doing well with our timing here. So 11:19 is determining the board regular public meeting dates for 2025. Just so everybody is aware, we do have that list. I will read them off and then Mary Lou will make sure that they're in our calendars once they're approved by the board. So the thought is that we will do exactly what we did this past year for 2024 and meet 6 times through the year. We will continue to meet the third Tuesday of the month on the months that we meet. So we would meet January 21st, March 18th, May 20th, June 17th, September 16th, and November 18th. We do leave out July and August, so we do meet May and June back to back so that we can have the summer months off, and then we're back in September. Was there any thoughts, concerns about those dates? Generally speaking, all looks good.
Just
Yep.
that we do meet as a collective board discussion on that, so there's no sort of double booking of me. So I don't need to run out of this meeting like I do now. Go to another meeting because I want to give you my full attention.
If we can approve it first, maybe you
First,
can
I
let
just
them
wanna- I
know
just wanna throw that out
what
there.
our dates are.
I just want to
Perfect.
throw that out there.
Yeah,
I'll advocate for your dates.
thank you. Grant?
Just a question regarding the meeting times, especially the
Mhm.
in-camera. Are those set in stone at 4 and 5?
They have historically been that way. I don't think that they are locked in stone, but I can turn over to Mary Lou to give thought. I think it's up to board approval if that needs to change.
I don't believe they're locked in stone. That's been the process as long as I've been DEA, but I don't believe they're locked in stone.
I believe it was the same previously through the Orangeville Police as well. Does it work for you? Are we good?
TBD, we may have some office location changes
Okay.
in the new year, so I'm just my ability to be here for, I may have to dial in for the in-camera part.
Okay, perfect. We will leave it as is for now, and then you can bring back any information. We can always adjust it, but let's leave the timing as it is right now. So the recommendation is that the board approve the regular public meeting dates for the 2025 calendar year. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? So it will be Grant and Warren. Any opposed? Very good. Okay, 1120 is the OPP detachment board name and logos. I'm not going to go through all of this and read it all, but there was OAPSB notification on the board branding, and that's outlined in the report. The recommendation is that the board receive and approve the attached draft bylaw, which is number 3, and authorize Vice Chair McSweeney to communicate the same to the OAPSB as requested above. Was there thoughts, questions, concerns on the bylaw that was listed there? Everybody looks good with it. A mover and a seconder for it then. So Grant and Warren, any opposed? Oh, Grant?
Police Services Board, is that the correct in the tier?
Oh, on the bottom
The
of,
signature.
okay, can you just reference what page that was?
Well, it's the bylaw.
The draft bylaw
At the
sign.
bottom, it says Police Services Board still.
So we just have to change that to say Orangeville Detachment Board. Okay, excellent. Any other commentary? So we've got a mover and a seconder. Any opposed? Very good. Okay, so lastly, we've got an adoption of minutes from the September 24th meeting. Was there any questions or comments on the September 24th regular public meeting minutes? None. A mover and a seconder then to receive those and approve. So Grant and Warren, any opposed? Very good. We had no items of correspondence. Was there any items of new business from anybody? No? No, Mary Lou?
There was one that Ian forwarded about the community safety well-being planning that's taking place.
Sorry, if you're referring to as a deep dive that's taking place on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, so I shared that with the detachment board contacts across the county. So it's taking place at the Menorah Park Pavilion, lower level meeting room. Starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's done by 1 p.m. And yes, certainly if there's interest from the community to participate, it's open as well. So they will be going through the last survey results of the community safety well-being plan as they create their new plan moving forward for the next 4 years.
Perfect. Thank you for that update, Inspector. I missed that email. Was there questions on it, Grant?
I just think, so Ian was mentioning or asking if we should be sending a formal delegation, and that is an email to the group.
Apologies, I'm just pulling up Ian's email here. Okay. So is there anybody from our board who would be available to attend, I believe is what he is referring to. That is Monday, November 25th from 8:30 to 1. I know I am not available, but we can leave that for now, and hopefully, you know, we've put it out there, and hopefully potentially there will be somebody from the board who will be able to attend. But so we'll leave it at that for now as a receipt of that correspondence, I guess, or that new business from Member McSweeney at this time, which I don't believe that we need a motion on because it was just for information item. Was there any other items of new business? No, seeing none. The date of the next meeting then will be January, I just said it, 2025, same times for now, and we will see you all then. And until then, we just need a motion to adjourn. Grant and Warren, any opposed? Looks good. Thank you all for joining us today.